What if I told you that I had raised a son for 30 years, who was only waiting for the ideal opportunity to turn on me? In this tale, a mother believed that love was sufficient until her own kid disproved her belief. Linda is my name. My age is 58. I worked as a janitor for the majority of my life. Although it wasn't glamorous, the labor was sincere. I cleaned toilets and scrubbed floors every shift, doing everything I could to support my kid Ethan. When he was just 3 years old, I adopted him. Back then, he was so little, soft-spoken, and bright-eyed. I knew I would give him everything the instant he put his tiny hand around my finger. And I did. In order to get Ethan new school clothes, I worked additional shifts. To make sure he got a hot lunch, I skipped meals. I saved as much additional money as I could for his future. Last year, I even got him a house as a wedding present for his engagement to Claire. After all the sacrifices he had witnessed me make, I felt that this was the least I could do. However, Ethan wasn't the kind boy I had assumed he was. 3 months before to the wedding, everything began. My leg was infected, and I had to go to the hospital. The doctors were worried that I would lose the limb entirely if it didn't mend properly, because the agony was so excruciating. Despite my fear, I assumed Ethan would support me. I had given him my entire life, after all. As it happens, I was mistaken. I heard Ethan chatting to the doctor in the hallway one night when I was partly asleep. He spoke in a soothing tone, detached. If her leg doesn't heal, will they need to amputate? The physician paused. If the infection spreads, that's a possibility. But with surgery, Ethan interrupted. Is it really necessary, though? I mean, she's getting older. If she's going to need long-term care, maybe we shouldn't waste money on surgery. I went cold. My chest pounded with my heart. The doctor said sharply, Ethan, she's your mother. Ethan let out a sigh. Yes, and I love her. But Claire's parents are university professors. How would it look if they had to sit at a wedding with my mother, a janitor? My chest constricted. In the hopes that I had misheard, I held my breath. Besides, Ethan said, my real mother is coming to the wedding. Having my adoptive mom there would just complicate things. My mother in real life. It dawned on me then. Ethan was ashamed of me because he had discovered his birth mother. I forced myself not to cry as I clamped my eyes tight. You can't be serious, Ethan, the doctor said slowly, because your mother raised you by herself. You owe her more than this. She'll get over it, Ethan remarked nonchalantly. I'll make sure she gets the best medication. But the wedding, I just want my birth mother there. If my adoptive mom can't make it because of her leg, that's not really my fault, is it? I felt cold all over. The physician let out a deep sigh. She's given you everything. I didn't ask for it, Ethan responded bluntly. It wasn't until the tears started streaming down my face that I realized I was weeping. I was ill. The doctor then arrived to check my medication after Ethan left. I pretended to sleep with my eyes closed. I gently sat up after he departed and took my wallet out of the bedside drawer. The bank card that contained all of my savings, which I intended to give Ethan as a wedding present, was inside. Sufficient to cover a down payment on a larger home. Enough for him and Claire to begin their new life. My fingers gripped the card tightly. He is not in need of it. He had his true mother now, after all. The following day, I said nothing to Ethan. Or the following day. He and Claire arrived at the hospital grinning as if nothing had occurred. Claire sat next to me and we talked about the wedding, including the guest list, the dress, and the location. With a hollow heart, I nodded and smiled. Claire was kind. She had never been friendly to me, but she had always been courteous. She referred to me as Linda rather than Mom. However, I assumed that was the current situation. Ethan had picked her after all. My mind was racing as they departed, so I sat in bed and stared at the ceiling. I wasn't upset. Not quite yet. But for the first time, I could see Ethan clearly. I discovered the extent of the betrayal 2 weeks later. On the chair beside my hospital bed, Ethan left his phone. A text buzzed through it. Mother of birth. I'm not sure why I picked it up. Perhaps I was trying to find an excuse to think I was misinterpreting everything. However, my heart fell as I saw the message thread. There were photos. I didn't recognize the woman Ethan was dining with at a fine restaurant. She wore fancy clothing and had flawlessly styled blonde hair. In several ways, she appeared younger than my age. Continued. You look great, Mom, Ethan had texted. I'm grateful that you gave me such wonderful genes. My eyes welled up with tears as I read through the messages. For more than a year, they had been getting together. Dinners, excursions for shopping, weekend vacations. I was working extra shifts to purchase a home for him during this time. What's the worst? She hadn't contacted him. He had located her. He had set out to find her. And I was only the fallback option. I put down the phone with trembling hands. He only wanted the woman who had left him, and I had been killing myself to offer him everything. I woke up that night contemplating the life I had given Ethan, the tuition costs, the gifts for Christmas. The first sat by his bed until he fell asleep during the late evenings when he experienced nightmares. Moreover, it was insufficient. It would never be sufficient. When Ethan visited the following morning, he grinned down at me and said, Mom, you look better. I returned the smile. Yes, I'm feeling much better. Ethan took a seat. Hey, about the wedding money. Do you think you could transfer it soon? I widened my grin. We'll see. The sharpness in my voice went unnoticed by Ethan. He kissed my forehead, leaning down. Thanks, Mom. I love you. Yes, you do. Betrayal has the drawback of not striking all at once. It moves slowly, creeping, like a ceiling leak that goes unnoticed until the entire roof collapses. Something changed inside me after that hospital day. I wasn't quite mad yet. Now, though, the doubt was there, gnawing at me. Ethan didn't even notice either. Ethan contacted me from the venue a week after I discovered those messages. Hey, Mom, he said in a nice, informal voice. Just wanted to check in. How are you feeling? I'm fine, I replied. I spoke in a flat tone. That's great! His voice became more upbeat. So, about the wedding money, oh, it was there. I'm still figuring things out, I remarked coolly. Silence for a beat. Mom, you said you'd help. I know. More quiet. He cleared his throat after that. Look, I get that you're recovering, but the deposit for the venue is due next week. Claire's parents are covering the catering, but, well, you did say you wanted to help, right? I clenched my fingers around the phone. Help, as if I hadn't been there for him throughout his life. I'll think about it, I replied. Ethan let out a sigh. Okay, well, don't think too long. We need to lock things down. I felt like screaming. However, I didn't. I grinned into the phone instead. Got it. Ethan arrived at the residence 2 days later. Claire, wearing her typical pricey blouse and gold earrings, was accompanying him. I poured them coffee while they sat on the couch. Ethan was beaming, at ease, and self-assured. Claire sat perfectly erect, her legs crossed at the ankles, and she avoided eye contact with me. So, Claire and I were thinking that it might be easier for you if you skipped the wedding, Ethan replied, sipping his coffee. Mid-pour, I froze. Excuse me? Claire gave Ethan a tense look. We're just worried about you pushing yourself too hard. Yes, said Ethan. You're still recovering. We don't want you to overdo it. Slowly, I put down the coffee pot. But you don't seem too worried about asking me for the wedding money. Ethan's grin grew tense. That's different. Is it? Claire's face turned red. It's not that we don't want you there, Linda, really, I interrupted her, because it sounds like you don't. Mom, Ethan said in a softer tone, as if he were attempting to soothe a youngster. It's just, Claire's family is very particular about appearances. Appearances? I clenched my chest. You mean because I'm a janitor? Ethan paused too long by half a second. No, that's not. My voice had become icy as I said, just be honest, Ethan. You're embarrassed by me. He opened his mouth, then shut it. Claire glanced in Ethan's direction. He took a deep swallow. Mom, it's not like that. But it is, I responded. Ethan let out a deep sigh. Look, it's not personal. Claire's parents are very traditional. And, well, having my biological mother there just makes more sense. I balled my hands into fists. I said, so let me get this straight, in a stern voice. You want me to pay for the wedding, but you don't want me there? Ethan's mouth clenched. It's not about the money. Oh, really? I said with a sour laugh. Because it sounds like it's exactly about the money. Ethan's expression hardened. You're overreacting. Claire made an uncomfortable move. Maybe we should come back another time. No, I interrupted, getting to my feet. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. Sit down. Claire's eyes were wide as she sat down fast. Ethan, I began with a trembling voice. I have spent the last 30 years working my ass off so you could have a better life. I put you through school. I bought you a house. And now you're telling me that I'm not good enough to sit at your wedding? It's not like that, Ethan yelled suddenly. Then what is it like? His face was crimson as he stood. God, Mom, why are you making this so hard? Hard? My chest was horribly constricted. You think this is hard? Yes, arose Ethan's voice. I've spent my whole life trying to balance everything. You and Claire. You and my biological mom. You don't make it easy. My voice was cold as I said, sorry for being inconvenient. Ethan's lips twisted in resentment. Look, if it's too much, you don't have to pay for the wedding. Claire's parents can cover it. Claire's eyes got bigger. Wait, what? No, Ethan, I said sharply. That's not how this works. You don't get to take my money and cut me out of your life. If you want to be part of that family, if you want her at your wedding, then you figure it out yourself. Ethan's jaw clenched. Are you saying you're not giving us the money? I gave a chilly smile. That's exactly what I'm saying. Claire's face went white. But, no buts, I responded. You're adults now. Figure it out. Ethan balled his hands into fists. Wow, he remarked sourly. After everything you've promised, you're really going to screw me over like this? Funny, I said. I was about to ask you the same thing. Pulling on Ethan's arm, Claire got to her feet. Come on, Ethan. Let's go. Ethan's jaw was tense as he scowled at me. I can't believe you're doing this. Believe it. Without saying another thing, they departed. My hands were shaking as I sat at the kitchen table later that evening. It buzzed on my phone. Ethan texted. I'm sorry about earlier. I was stressed. We still really need the money. Please think about it. I took a good look at the screen before responding. No. Another message appeared after 2 minutes. Mom, don't be like this. It's important to me. My hand gripped the phone more tightly. If it's so important, ask your real mom. After that, no answer. I spent a long time sitting there in the dark. My heart ached. But there was more than just the anguish. Clarity. Ethan reappeared a week later. He was by himself this time. He appeared worn out, with black circles beneath his eyes and a little disheveled hair. He took a seat at the kitchen table across from me. Mom, he uttered softly. I'm sorry. I arched an eyebrow. For what? For everything. I examined him. Be specific. Ethan's mouth clenched. I shouldn't have said those things. And Claire, she got excited about the wedding. It wasn't fair to you. No, I replied. It wasn't. Ethan's gaze grew softer. So, can we start over? I gave a faint smile. No. His face contorted. What? I said calmly. I'm not going to fight you anymore, Ethan. You made your choice. Now you live with it. Ethan's gaze expanded. You don't mean that. I got up and went to the door, saying, I do. Good luck with the wedding. Mom, I pulled the door open. Goodbye, Ethan. After hesitating, Ethan left. I shut the door after him. I had a racing heart. However, I felt lighter for the first time in years. Do you know what's amusing? I assumed that was the end of it when Ethan left that day. I believed I had finally established a limit and helped him understand that I would no longer be his fallback option, that he would stand back, reconsider his decisions, and perhaps even offer a sincere apology. Ethan wasn't finished yet, though. Claire called me a week after we had last spoken. As if nothing had happened, she said, Hi, Linda, with sweetness. I was wondering if you'd like to join me for lunch this weekend? It nearly made me chuckle. Why? Claire laughed softly and with practice. I just think we got off on the wrong foot. I'd really love for us to be close, since you're part of the family. Given that I am a member of the family? That was rich indeed. I don't think that's necessary, I replied. Claire paused. Please, Linda, just lunch. I nearly declined. However, my curiosity overcame me. I was curious about the game she was playing. Fine, I replied. We met downtown at a classy Italian restaurant, the sort of restaurant where the waiters wear neat suits, and the tablecloths are white. When I got there, Claire was seated immediately, sporting diamond earrings and a soft cream shirt that were far too costly for someone in a mid-level marketing position. "Linda," she exclaimed, kissing my cheek as if we had known each other for years. I took a seat and looked closely at her. "Claire." Claire grinned broadly. "I ordered us some wine. I hope that's okay." "Sure." After the waiter poured the wine, Claire took a little drink and put her glass down. "So," she said, "Ethan told me you've been having a hard time since the hospital." I arched an eyebrow. "Did he?" she said in a gentle, understanding tone. "He's really worried about you." I reclined in my seat. "How kind of him." Claire's smile remained unwavering. "You know, I understand why you were upset about the wedding. Family can be complicated." "Complicated?" I said once more. Claire gave a nod. "We just want things to be smooth." "That's why Ethan thought it might be better if," I concluded, "if I didn't come?" Claire smiled briefly. "He was trying to protect you." I gazed at her. "Protect me from what?" Claire paused. "From feeling out of place." "Oh, it was there," I remarked icily. "You mean from embarrassing you?" Claire's face turned red. "That's not what I— It's exactly what you meant." Claire's gaze became piercing. "Linda, I'm trying to be nice here." I leaned forward and said, "No, Claire. You're trying to manipulate me. Let me make something very clear. I've cleaned up other people's messes my whole life. I've scraped gum off floors, scrubbed toilets, and worked double shifts to make sure Ethan had everything he needed. So don't sit there in your $1,000 earrings and tell me I'm not good enough to sit at his wedding." Claire's jaw clenched. "Ethan doesn't see it that way." I gave a faint smile. "No? Then why are you sitting here instead of him?" Claire's mouth clenched. "We just thought it would be better for everyone if—" I chuckled and asked, "If I disappeared quietly?" "Good luck with that." Claire's eyes became gloomy. "Linda, we're trying to build a future here. We just want some support." I put down my glass. "Then ask your parents." Claire's smile vanished. "Excuse me?" I got up and grabbed up my purse, saying, "You heard me. Have a nice wedding, Claire." I left without turning around. After 2 days, Ethan arrived at my residence. Mom. His hair was disheveled, as if he had been raking his hands through it, and his face was strained. "Can we talk?" I folded my arms. "We're already talking." Ethan let out a sigh. "Claire said you were rude to her at lunch. Did she?" "Mom." He clenched his jaw. "We're under a lot of stress right now." "Flatly? Sounds hard," I remarked. Ethan squinted his eyes. "You don't have to be so difficult." I chuckled. "Oh, I'm difficult? Mom." "No, Ethan." I grew sterner. "I've put up with a lot from you. I've given you everything. And you've made it very clear that I'm not welcome at your wedding. So, why are you here?" Ethan balled his hands into fists. "Because I don't want to fight." "Then stop fighting." Ethan's gaze flickered. "It's not that simple." I walked over to him and said, "It is. You made your choice. You found your birth mother. You decided Claire's family is more important than me. So go live with that choice." Ethan's mouth clenched. "I didn't mean to hurt you. But you did." He opened his mouth, then shut it. "I get it now," I muttered. "You think you've outgrown me. You think Claire's family is better, more polished, more successful. But they didn't raise you. I did." Ethan's eyes became gloomy. "It's not like that." "Then tell me what it's like." Frustration distorted Ethan's face. "I just want everyone to be happy." With a weak smile, I said, "Yeah? Then why am I miserable?" Ethan closed his mouth abruptly. A lifetime of love, disappointment, and contempt stretched between us, like a rope on the verge of breaking, as we stood there facing one another. Ethan's gaze grew softer. "Mom, please, just come to the wedding." I gave a head shake. "No." His voice broke as he asked, "Why?" "Because I'm not going to sit there and watch you pretend I don't exist." Ethan's expression fell flat. "I'm trying, Mom." "No," I muttered. "You're not." For a long time, Ethan stood there, his chest rising and falling. Something near desperation flooded his gaze. However, I remained motionless. At last, he let out a trembling breath. "Okay." He made his way to the door, ceased. "I love you, Mom." I gave a small smile. "Sure you do." Ethan's face contorted in agony. After a moment of hesitation, he walked away. I remained motionless, gazing at the shut door. I could feel my heart thudding painfully. However, there was relief underneath the pain and disappointment. I had given up on him. 2 weeks later, the wedding took place. I didn't go. Pictures of Claire in her lace gown, Ethan in a dapper tux, and his birth mother sitting proudly in the front row were shared on Facebook by Claire's mother, grinning, shining. The seat next to her was vacant. Sitting with a glass of wine on my patio, I looked through the photos. It wasn't agony that made my chest clench. Out of clarity, he decided. I did the same. Ethan called me 2 months after the wedding. I let the voicemail go. Hello, Mother. I wanted to check in. When you can, give me a call back. I didn't return the call. Not everything is intended to be mended. They don't tell you about letting go, do you know? Not everything occurs at once. It's not as though you turn off your concern by flipping a switch. It moves slowly, unpleasant. Peel away one layer at a time until you can't even identify what's left. I believed that my relationship with Ethan was over after the wedding. I assured myself that I had moved on, that I had come to terms with reality. I wasn't truly needed by him anymore. Claire's family was now his. His birth mother was with him. Apparently, though, I was mistaken. Because Ethan arrived at my place 2 months after the wedding. It was close to 10 p.m., and when the doorbell rang, I had just sat down with a bottle of wine and a blanket on the couch. I nearly didn't respond. However, a part of me that had loved him for 30 years was unable to ignore it. Ethan was standing there, looking, ruined, when I opened the door. His tie was loose, and his suit jacket was rumpled. His eyes were bloodshot, and his hair was in disarray. Mom, he murmured in a rough voice. Can I come in? I folded my arms. Why? With a groan, Ethan combed through his hair. I don't know where else to go. I was surprised by that. Why not Claire's parents? He clenched his jaw. Because they kicked me out. I blinked. Excuse me? Ethan let out a sigh. Please, Mom. Just let me come inside. After a moment of hesitation, I moved aside. 5 minutes. Ethan entered and collapsed into the couch, as if his legs were giving out. With my arms folded, I took a seat across from him. Start talking, I gave the order. Ethan looked glum as he wiped his face. Claire left me. I went cold. What? His hands trembled as he moaned. She left, took her stuff and moved back in with her parents. Why? His mouth curved viciously as he said, Because, apparently, I'm not enough anymore. I squinted. What does that mean? Ethan balled his hands into fists. Her parents pressured her. They said I wasn't on her level, that I wasn't ambitious enough. I sneered. Ambitious? You make 6 figures. Ethan's mouth curled. Yeah, but apparently that's not enough when your father-in-law is a tenured professor and your mother-in-law owns half the real estate in the city. I took a seat back and studied him. And your birth mother? Ethan's expression hardened. She's siding with Claire's family. My chest constricted. What? Ethan laughed bitterly. Yeah. Apparently, she's known Claire's parents for years. They have connections, money, status. And I guess she figured sticking with them was the safer bet. Wow, I murmured icily. How's it feel? Ethan's gaze flickered. Mom, no. I interrupted him. Seriously. How does it feel to be treated like you're disposable? Ethan closed his mouth abruptly. His face went white. Because that's exactly what you did to me, I said. Now my heart was thumping. You spent your whole life climbing toward some fantasy version of success, and when you thought you'd outgrown me, you tossed me aside. I didn't. You did. I grew sterner. You didn't even have the decency to tell me to my face that you didn't want me at your wedding. You sent Claire to do your dirty work. Ethan's expression fell flat. I was trying to make everyone happy. My throat constricted as I said, at my expense. I gave you everything, Ethan, and you treated me like an inconvenience. Ethan balled his hands into fists. His voice trembled. I know, Mom. No, you don't. I grew sterner. You have no idea how much it hurt to sit at home on the day of your wedding. The wedding I was supposed to help pay for, while you played happy family with the woman who abandoned you. Tears filled Ethan's eyes. I was an idiot. Yeah, I replied sourly. You were. Ethan's hands were shaking as he wiped his face. I screwed everything up. Yes, I'm sorry. I crossed my arms and sat back. That's nice. What do you want from me? Ethan looked up into my eyes. I don't know. Try harder. Ethan had a bobbed throat. Pain twisted his face. I guess. I just want my mom back. Painfully, my heart tightened. Why now? Ethan's lips quivered. Because you're the only person who's ever really been there for me. I clenched my chest. I clenched my fists around my arms. You didn't care about that when you were playing house with Claire's family, I replied. His voice was quiet as he said, I know, but I get it now. Do you? I said in a broken voice. Because it took you losing everything to realize what you had. Tears sparkled in Ethan's eyes. I was stupid. Yeah, I muttered. You were. Ethan's face was raw as he leaned forward. Can we fix this? I took a deep breath. You can't just walk back in and expect things to be the same. I know. You hurt me. His voice trembled. I know. You humiliated me. Ethan's hands shook. Mom, please. With my heart racing, I got to my feet. Do you know how many times I've sat alone at this table waiting for you to call me back? My throat began to tighten. How many times I watched you choose Claire's family over me? Do you know how it felt to find out you'd been meeting with your birth mother for a year? Behind my back? Ethan's expression fell flat. I'm sorry. It's not enough, I acknowledged. Ethan got up slowly. He had a pallid face. I know. The air between us was harsh and heavy as we stood there. I wanted to despise him. I wanted to yell, hurl something, and order him to leave my house immediately. However, a foolish, damaged part of me continued to love him. The worst thing about becoming a parent is that, no matter how much they betray you or cause you pain, you will always love them. When I eventually said, I need time, Ethan's gaze expanded. Time? You don't get to fix this in one night, I replied. You don't get to walk back in and make it better just because your other family didn't work out. I know. If you want me in your life, really want me, you're going to have to earn it. Ethan had a bobbed throat. How? I lowered my voice and said, show up. Be there. Call me when you don't need something. Make space for me in your life. And maybe, just maybe, I'll let you back in. Tears filled Ethan's eyes. Slowly, he nodded. Okay. I let out a trembling breath. Go home, Ethan. His lips quivered. Okay. He paused as though he wanted to give me a hug, but he refrained. He approached the door and stopped. In a whisper, I love you, Mom, he said. I gave a small smile. We'll see. Despite the pain that contorted his cheeks, Ethan nodded. Then he went away. I listened to the silence for a long time while I stood there. I had a heavy heart. However, it wasn't broken for the first time in a long time, because I was in charge this time. What's hilarious about healing, you know? It isn't dramatic. It isn't noisy. It doesn't include a transformative moment or a major epiphany where everything makes sense at once. It is silent, slow, and truthfully, it's a little dull. That night, Ethan left, and I had low expectations. I assumed that after a few phone calls and perhaps a halting text about how busy he would gradually drift out of my life forever. And, truthfully, I was ready for that. But then I was taken aback by him. It began modestly. An occasional SMS message. Hey, Mom, how are you feeling? Do you need anything? Lucas has a soccer game this weekend. Want to come? Not much. However, it was something. Ethan contacted me on a Tuesday afternoon 3 weeks after that evening. Hey, Mom, he interrupted. You busy? I scowled. What's going on? I'm making dinner tonight. Thought maybe you'd like to come over. I paused. Claire's okay with that? A long silence. Claire's not there. My stomach grew constricted. What happened? He said in a cold voice. She's staying with her parents. You think it's permanent? One more pause. Probably. I took a swallow. And your birth mom? Ethan gave a sour laugh. She's giving me space. Oh, naturally. So? Ethan said in a softer tone. You coming over? I nearly declined. But then I remembered the crack in his voice when he asked. The fact that, for the first time in years, he was actually trying. Okay, I replied. Around 6 o'clock, I arrived at Ethan's house. He had a glass of wine and opened the door while wearing an apron, and genuine apron. I remarked, "Wow," and raised an eyebrow. "Look at you," Ethan chuckled. "Don't get too excited, it's just pasta." I went into the kitchen after him. A pot of marinara sauce was boiling on the stove, and 2 dishes were already arranged at the table. I teased, "You actually cooked this?" Ethan smiled. "Don't look so surprised." He spooned noodles onto my plate while I sat at the table. "I forgot how much you like marinara," he replied. My chest constricted. "You remembered?" Ethan gave a small smile. "Of course." For a few minutes, we ate in silence. It was simply silent. It wasn't weird. Cozy. Ethan put down his fork midway through dinner. His expression softened. "Mom? Yeah? I'm really sorry." I let out a sigh. "I know. No." Ethan's tone grew piercing. "I mean it. I was awful to you. I don't know why I thought. I don't know what I was thinking." I looked closely at him. "What changed?" Ethan's lips curled. "Claire. She left you, so you came back to me?" Ethan shook his head, saying, "No. Claire left because she realized I wasn't enough for her. And honestly, she was right." I scowled. "Ethan," his voice was calm as he said, "No, listen. I spent so much time trying to impress her family, because I thought that's what I needed to be happy. That if I could just be enough for them, maybe I'd finally feel like I belonged somewhere." He took a deep swallow. But I already had a place to belong. A stinging pressure went through my heart. Whispering, "I just didn't see it," Ethan said. "Not until I lost it." I covered his hand with mine as I reached across the table. "You didn't lose it." Ethan looked into my eyes. "But I almost did." I got a lump in my throat. "Yeah." Tears filled Ethan's eyes. "Mom, can you forgive me?" I let out a sigh. "Ethan, I already forgave you." His gaze expanded. "When?" "The second you walked through my door that night." Ethan's expression fell flat. "I don't deserve that." "No," I muttered. "But you're my son." Ethan's cheeks began to well up with tears. He immediately wiped them away. "God, I'm so sorry. I know." His voice broke. "I love you." "I swear to God, Mom, I love you." I gave his hand a squeeze. "I know." After that, nothing suddenly became better. For a while, Ethan remained a disaster. He had to work out the terms of his divorce from Claire, separate from her family, and start over. But he continued to appear. He gave me a weekly call, asked me to join them for dinner. When he realized I was having a rough week, he stopped by with groceries. And the moment of greatness? Ethan asked me to Lucas's soccer match 6 months later. I arrived early, enjoying a cappuccino while seated on the bleachers. A few minutes later, Ethan arrived with Lucas's water bottle. Without a word, he took a seat beside me, simply grinned. Lucas then rushed up to us just before the game began. "Mom!" "Dad!" Lucas made a smile. He put out his jersey and said, "Look, 14?" Ethan remarked. "That's great, buddy," as he ruffled his hair. Leaning over, Lucas gave Ethan a waist hug. Then he turned and grinned at me. "Did you see it, Grandma?" My chest constricted. Ethan's eyes became a little wider. He gazed at me, anticipating my correction. I didn't. I grinned and said, "I saw it, sweetheart. It looks great." Returning to the field, Lucas ran. Behind me, Ethan rested his arm on the back of the bleacher and sat back. Ethan smiled and replied, "Grandma, huh?" "Don't make it weird," I teasingly said. Ethan laughed. "Wouldn't dream of it." Silently, we watched the game. The sun shone. Lucas and his teammates were giggling, and I felt complete for the first time in years. Ethan was married again 2 years later. This time, it was simply close friends and family. No large space. Not a fancy guest list. Simply love. You know who was seated in the front row? Not his mother of birth. Not Claire's relatives. Me. Every Sunday, Ethan still comes to see me. He brings Maggie, his new wife, and Lucas. Lucas plays with his Legos on the floor as they sit in the living room while I prepare dinner. Ethan occasionally shows up by himself, simply to chat. He occasionally makes a quick phone call to say hello when he's heading home from work. Now he understands at last. I am his mother. It's because I stayed, not because I gave birth to him. Because even though he didn't deserve it, I still loved him. Because he didn't ask for my forgiveness, and I granted it. Additionally, because he is ultimately mine, and that's sufficient.